I'm about to say something that is going to make you think much less of me. I play League of Legends. Now I know what a tragic thing to say, what a tragic thing to admit to, but at least I'm being honest. At least I'm being transparent with you that I do play such a dastardly game with just such a terrible reputation. And the reason why I want to talk about, me playing League today is because I want to know if this is a psychopathic thing for me to do, or this is something that, is kind of funny and just a good bit. So, as everyone knows by now, the one thing that League of Legends is, it's toxic. Probably one of the most toxic games out there. You could be winning a game, one person on your team dies, they type "kill yourself, team. I hate you. Go find a rope and hang yourself on a tree and make your mom watch it." And then you lose because even though you were winning, one thing went bad, and the emotional bastards in the game threw it. And I used to kind of be a little toxic back in like 2019, 2020 when I was, still in my teens, still a little child thinking about how to, get his foot under the world and get his, behavior in check on the internet. And I decided that, getting mad really isn't the best thing for me to do. It's not really fun. I don't enjoy being mad. But dude, you know what I love doing? Getting other people who are already mad on the internet to get more mad. And so what I'll do is, I'll kind of just like see someone on my team or someone on the enemy team just get mad, start typing up a storm, telling people to kill themselves, telling people that they hope their dad dies, their mom dies, that they, get shot or that they're going to murder you, all this fun and really friendly stuff. And, I kind of just like do the good thing. And the thing that I know that will make them more mad is say, hey, man, it's just a game. Calm down. Let's try to win. Now, you might think that these are actually the correct words to say, but if there's any way you possibly want to make someone more quick to anger, it is telling them that they're being mad right now. Because I think they do know they're being mad. They're mad that they're mad, and telling them that they're mad is gonna make them more mad. You feel me? And it obviously always will consistently instigate the scenario, especially if you're like me, where I keep on typing at them if they type back to me. I asked them like, is everything okay at home? Is everything going right in their life? Are they all okay? Do they need therapy? Do they need to seek a therapist? And this is all while the game's still happening. And so after the game, luckily when we lose, because obviously if someone on your team is focusing on typing on the game more than winning and telling his own teammates to kill themselves, you're obviously, not going to win. But after the game, this is where the true, I think, psychopathy comes in. I will add them as a friend after the game and see how long I can keep them typing at me. What is one of my favorite forms of entertainment for myself. And they always get mad at me and say, "Hey, you're the one mad here. Actually, you're the one mad here. You're the one mad here for adding me as a friend. You added me as a friend. I'm not mad. Okay, I'm not mad. I told you to kill yourself, but I'm not mad." And so that's usually what happens, like in the post game lobby. Well, at least that's actually half of it. The other half of the time, they call me the N word or any other slur under the sun, and then they'll just immediately block me. Which, like, come on, man. Just like if you're gonna type the N word, at least let it sit there, so I don't just see it for 2 seconds and you block me to remove the chat. Let it sit there so I can take a screenshot of it and report it to the proper authorities of the Riot Games bully hunters. But the other time they obviously will get mad. And I have a couple of really fun stories. In the Rage Bait Olympics. Um, and I don't remember the exact chats I've had with these people because obviously they unadded me after it. But one time, I was talking to this guy, and sometimes you got to play a little role. I said, "I bet you're alone. I bet you have no friends, no family." I said, and I lied here. I said, "No, I actually have a loving girlfriend who we spend every day together." He's like, "Yeah, you probably let her like dominate you or whatever." And this is, where you get like the until dawn, like two options things, and you gotta either pick the one that's gonna end the conversation and say, "No, actually, I'm lying, and I don't have a girlfriend," or you say, "Yes, I do let my mommy dominate me every single day." And obviously, I'm picking the latter because you got to extend the conversation as much as possible. And we keep on going back and forth. And then once again, I do say, "Hey, man, I'm going to be entirely honest with you as a human being. I think you need to get therapy for this anger issues." And this guy goes, "Yeah, it's actually a stupid take. I bet you're vaccinated too." And I'm just like, "What the fuck do you mean?" Obviously, I'm taken aback here. This is an ultimate movie that people have done, and I've only seen it once before, which I'll talk about in a second. But like, what do you mean? I bet you're vaccinated. How is that an insult? What the fuck do you mean? What? How is that a winning argument? And I've only seen that once before, and that was in a Marvel Rivals game where not only did this guy think that only people who are vaccinated also believe in therapy, he called me a slur that I had to look up, and that's the only reason why I knew it was a slur is because I googled the word after the fact. So like, what the fuck is up with using vaccination as an insult in response to someone telling you to get therapy? Because it's weird that it's happened twice to me. You know, you think one's enough, but the fact that it's happened twice to me is kind of crazy. And like I told these stories that you just know, normal human beings, like normal friends that I have who don't play as much games as I had, and they're just like taken aback by the sheer audacity of someone, just using that as an insult. And it's a real fun thing to just see how much I can get these characters to come out. Get the full character development arc on these people who I'm talking to in a League of Legends friend chat. And another really, really fun one that I had in a post game chat in the league was another person who, once again, was getting mad at me, was threatening my life actually a lot of time. I think this guy said, he would love to see the blood leave my body as the life also leaves as well. Kind of insane stuff. And this guy got mad enough to say, send me your address so I will go and kill you. And I said, you first. And then he sent me his home address. It was a house in Georgia, and I didn't know how to respond to that, so I sent him the address to the White House, and they told me to kill myself and then unadded me. And I don't understand how you can get mad enough to self-dox yourself to a random motherfucker on the internet. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Your first response to you first, send me your address first, is to send your home address to a random person on the internet who you're arguing with over a League of Legends game. I don't really understand what the philosophy was behind his strategy, but once again, that was another ultimate move of sending his actual domicile to a random fucker on the internet. And if you're wondering, have you ever reformed anybody in these escapades of just chatting back and forth with people on League of Legends? And the answer is yes, one single time out of many. And I think this happened in a game where the enemy team was chatting. One guy specifically, I think he was playing Sivir, and he was just getting mad, yelling at us in all chat. And obviously, I'm taking the opportunity to get the mental advantage and yell at him back because why not? And this guy he keeps on typing, he keeps on typing, he keeps on typing. I keep on going back and forth because I want to see how far I can get the human psyche to go. And after the game, I add him as a friend, and I add his duo as a friend. And he's like, and his duo is actually like, hey, you should join this Discord call, man. Like, it's really important. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm not joining a Discord call with two random people on the internet who had just argued over in a league game. And I thought that was the end of it. They gave up after that point. And then the day after, the dude who was yelling at me the entire time messages me and says, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry for my actions. I'm really sorry for my words. I was really drunk last night. It's a tough point in my life. I'm sorry. I'll try to be better." And I was like, you know what, man? That's okay. You know what? That's fine, man. Don't worry about it. We all have our bad days. And I was kind of shocked that someone actually like admitted defeat and admitted that they were, being an asshole the entire game and just being completely irrational. And that's kind of what you do it for. You kind of do it to, add a sense of perspective to your life and to their life, saying, hey, you're spending 10, 15 minutes of your life yelling at a random person on the internet after you got mad and they are very clearly rage baiting you. And so this happens many a times. I have actually a friend list folder on League specifically for these people who get mad at me. And looking at the current number right now, it is up to 20 people who have yelled at me in a game enough and done me enough wrong and terrorized the entire, game enough to making me yell at them back and add them as a friend. And I think if the number were to be, all people who just didn't unadd me after the fact, we'd be at least at 50 people who are willing to not only yell at me for a long enough time, but add me as a friend. And the other like 30 people who, have obviously not been on my friend list anymore have definitely just said the N word or called me the F slur and then immediately unadded me as a friend, thinking that they won the argument when actually I don't really give a fuck. Obviously, you're kind of a loser for saying that, but like if you're that mad to, let that shit fly over a League of Legends game, I think I've just naturally won at the game of a life compared to you. If you just simply think about it for like 2 seconds, and if you have a neutral observer, kind of audit the scenario that we're looking at, I feel like one person is going to be very clearly in the right. But this is something I want to just talk about and see, what perspectives are on this. Am I a psychopath? Am I a terrible, evil ne'er do well for just giving people the yell at me on the internet and then playing into their sick and twisted game for 10, 20 minutes at a time. I feel like the worst thing I do in the scenario is play League of Legends. So if anything I'm doing wrong, I think it's that. But from that point, I feel like me just having fun with other people is the noble cause in this scenario. But that's not really all I got for today. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.